Okay, so I think we are live now. Let me just close this. Okay, so welcome to another conversation and interview with a graduate of our 80-hour or trauma-informed yoga and embodied resilience teacher training and mentoring. So today, my name is Aneta Idczak. If you don't know me, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a founder of Golden Mandala Yoga Soma Institute. I'm also a trainer for the trauma-informed yoga and embodied resilience training. And today I have got a real pleasure to interview one of our graduates, Jane Hathaway. And welcome, Jane. Thank you so much for taking time to chat with me today on this very grey morning.
Oh, thanks, Aneta. It's good to be here. It really is. And we've got blue skies where I am in Staffordshire. So there you go. It's blue skies and a bit of sunshine. So.
Oh, lovely, lovely. We had a bit of a snowing yesterday and today. So changeable weather. So thank you so much, Jane. And I wanted to start with just asking you about your own journey as a yoga practitioner and as a yoga teacher. I know a little bit about your story, and I think it's really interesting, and I think it will be very interesting for others to hear.
Okay, thank you. So yes, my story. I didn't used to do yoga until 30 years ago, and 30 years ago I was in the fast lane, living life in the fast lane. I was working full-time, driving 43,000 miles per annum, 2 little children, and I was in a very bad marriage. And I took the decision basically because I wasn't coping very well in that marriage. It was an abusive marriage, unfortunately. And I took the decision that I had to get out of that marriage in order to save my own life and also that of my 2 small boys. So that was the start of when I had incredible anxieties and stress. It was a life-changing occurrence. It was quite a traumatic event for me because I had 2 little children. I was 30 and I had a very, very good job, but a demanding job. So I had all of these balls that I had to keep juggling in the air, and it didn't work. It wasn't long before I struck burnout, and unfortunately, I was in almost complete shutdown and freeze. I didn't realise that at the time. I couldn't function. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't drink. I couldn't watch telly. I couldn't read. I couldn't answer. I was total withdrawal. So, and this happened. Resulted in clinical depression for 12 months in a big black hole. 12 whole months. It's all a blur. I cannot remember it. Nothing worked. Medication didn't work. I had therapy, didn't work. And it was, I think it was when my doctor was after 12 months, and I went to see him, and he saw before him a woman on the edge. And thank goodness this doctor was an Asian doctor, Indian Asian doctor. And he sent me to relaxation classes because I was completely wired. I was just frazzled. And he sent me to relaxation, and that was the start of my yoga journey.
Great.
And then I very quickly became a regular yoga practitioner, and I learned that the rest of the 8 limbs of yoga were just life-changing for me, and it completely has enabled me to live the other half of my life, the other 30 years. In a much better place, a much happier place. I will never ever go back to that place of clinical depression because I've learned to understand my own body's responses. I've learned to become emotionally intelligent. I've learned how to self-regulate. I've learned how to identify when the slightest little bit of dysregulation starts to kick in, and I've learned what I need to do in order to maintain that equilibrium or that homeostasis. So I have practiced yoga for 30 years. And it was when I was going through menopause and my brain was going to mush that I decided I needed to use my brain, because I was fortunate I was able to retire early. And I thought, right, I'm going to study something, but I'm not going to do another degree. I've been there, done that. I've done loads of other, I've got all weird and wonderful abilities in things like yacht masters and day skippers and all of this stuff, which isn't great when you live right in the middle of England. I've spent quite a bit of time on the south coast in years gone by though. And so I thought, I'm going to learn about yoga. I'm really interested in it. I want to study yoga. But of course, all of the yoga courses were teacher training courses. So I thought, right, well, I'll study that. It's a 2-year course. That's great. It's going to help me with my menopause brain. And never had any intention of teaching yoga at all. But I'm a big believer in the divine, and I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. And as soon as I was able to teach as a trainee teacher, when my teacher said, yes, you're able to teach, but you must tell people that you are a trainee teacher and you can't have any reward for it, financial reward. Then people said, oh, I want to do yoga. And I got an invitation. I got asked to teach at my local Buddhist temple at Kings Bromley. And I would ask for a donation, but I would use that as a charity class. So I raised funds for the temple. So I raised thousands of pounds worth of funds for the temple. And that just continued, because it was what we all did on a Tuesday night. We went to the temple and we did yoga. And then I got asked to do to take over for another community class that the teacher sadly had got breast cancer, so she couldn't teach it anymore. And then I took on that class as well. So it was very slowly, my yoga teaching has grown organically. I've not really marketed it that much, apart from the last 2 years, which is when my yoga business has really taken off. Because during the pandemic, we couldn't teach. We were all there, weren't we, yoga teachers? We were just shut down. We couldn't teach. And for me, being a bit of a tech dinosaur, there was no way that I was going to be going on Zoom. Absolutely. That's just it was not for me. And I didn't understand how it would work, because yoga, the energies, how we interact, that feeling of community, it's quite an intimate practice in a beautiful way. And I just didn't see that it was going to work until my friends, my yogis, were contacting me saying, well, Jane, my friend's yoga teacher's teaching online, can you do it on Zoom? And I'm thinking, oh gosh. And then I kept getting all of these messages, and I felt a responsibility as a yoga teacher, because as yoga teachers, we do what we do because we love it, and because we feel there is a real need for it. We've unlocked the secrets of happiness and joy in life, haven't we? With the gift of yoga, the practice of yoga, and we feel compelled to share that and passionate to share it. And almost, we build this community. So I knew that I'd got ladies that were widows, that looked forward to their yoga practice each day, each week, that needed that yoga practice, that were suffering with their mental well-being, that needed that feeling of community. So I went online, and I haven't looked back. And of course, Zoom and online learning, this is what that has brought me to you as well, Aneta. So I've done quite a bit of online learning during the pandemic as well, and it's all been fantastic. Really, it really has, and it's been life-changing.
Okay, so let's pause there for a second. We come to the training in a moment, but I just wanted to say I absolutely love what you just said. You know, that one thing about the GP or your doctor saying to you, you know, seeing you, as you said, a woman on the edge, somebody who's really struggling. It would have been so easy just to say, well, here is the medication, here is some CBT stuff, you know, look at the way that you think, and actually forget all about the body and the need to, you know, if you're on a constant go, it's obvious that you need to learn how to relax, how to distress, how to calm down. And so this is amazing. I mean, I wish all doctors did that, because, you know, that one simple thing, and now we're sitting 30 years later here with you, you know, with all those pivotal points, like I'm going to the relaxation and then I'm learning yoga, and then deciding to do, you know, going through menopause and thinking, well, I have to do something with this. I might as well train because I'm in a space where I can. I retired, and then kind of thinking I'm not going to be teaching, but then actually starting doing it and loving it, and now, you know, teaching. And then the same with the Zoom, you know, it's like Zoom is not for me. Definitely not. It's like many of us have thought that, you know, it's like I'm never going to teach on Zoom. And then actually thinking, well, maybe there is a way of doing it. Maybe there is a way I can support my community. You know, it's different from doing it face to face in real life, in person. But, you know, if you can't do that, there is a connection. And actually, you know, from my experience, some people do prefer to go on Zoom because they don't have to leave the house, because for whatever reason, because they feel safer doing it that way, you know, or maybe because of the commitment, you know, doesn't allow them to travel to actually work with that specific practitioner or teacher. So much growth in your story, so much change, and so much coming out of your comfort zone and actually looking at what's possible. I really love that.
Absolutely. And you know, the thing about the Zoom, Aneta, it means that it works, as you say, it's bizarre, but people have said to me it feels more intimate. And I think it's because it takes us into their home environment. But not only that, it works perfectly. People prefer it for my Yin and Nidra class on a Tuesday evening. People love it, because instead of when they've achieved that beautiful state of relaxation after the Nidra, they know they don't have to get up and roll the mat up and drive home and go out into a cold night and then get back. They're already in their beautiful home, relaxing. It works perfectly. But not only that, and we know this, look at us, I'm in the Midlands, you're on the South Coast. You know, it means that we can reach people globally. I have a lady that comes on every week, and she's in Naples in Florida. She lost her husband at the beginning of COVID, at the beginning of the pandemic, not to the pandemic. The Nidra and Yin and Nidra has been her lifeline. It really has helped her to maintain that mental well-being and self-regulation hugely.
Great. I mean, this is also why, you know, I deliver exactly what you just said. This is also why I deliver the trauma-informed yoga teacher training online. I mean, I've had people from Europe, had people from all over UK, from Ireland. You know, we wouldn't be able to come every week to see each other, to talk, but we can do that from the space that we are in and put it in, slot it in between all the other commitments that we have. So Jane, I'd like to ask you, you know, how did the course, the trauma-informed yoga and embodied resilience teacher training and mentoring, how did the course impact your teaching and your own practice?
That's a great question, and it's a very there's a complex answer really, but I'll try to keep it as simple as I can, really, as succinct as I can. So the course, first of all, was one of the best courses that I've done. I've done quite a fair bit of training. It was just the quality of it, Aneta, was just superb. And, you know, you deliver it so well. The content it's life-changing. It is life-changing. It really is. In terms of for myself, the reason why I wanted to do the course is that previously I was already aware of polyvagal theory, and I've used it myself. Okay, and I've always been very interested in and shared the importance of the vagus nerve, just the you know, keep helping maintain that optimum vagal health. So it was because of opportunities that I'd been given to teach at a school with young adults with autism, and I did go along and I taught for a couple of terms, but I wasn't trauma informed. I hadn't got trauma sensitive yoga training or trauma resilience embodied yoga training. I was able to deliver that course to them, and in fact they started to they trained one of their own teachers. They started training their own teachers because of budgets, but that it opened another avenue to me, and I was really interested in it. And when your course came up, I jumped on it straight away. And for me personally, how it impacted was a lot of the material that we were covering. I related a lot to it, because the body finds a way, doesn't it, Aneta? The body tells you it will find a way to do something. And a lot of the practices that we were covering, they were familiar to me. I thought, I do this in the morning. For example, the focusing, right? I do it as a matter of course, probably, I don't know, but my body has just found that this is what I need to do. However, the course meant that I was able to understand it in more depth. So it consolidated, because I'd already was doing my practice of that naturally myself, but it consolidated because I was learning the theory of it with you, and I was also going deeper into my practice. So I just felt that it completely made the circle complete for me. So the focusing, and I love that. I absolutely love the focusing. And also the somatic sector, the somatics, it's something that I teach naturally. I teach that with my students already, but it was interesting to learn other somatic methods, other somatic movements, and to also to go more deeply into it and understand the theory of it and the more benefits of it. So for me, personally, it consolidated my own practices. It made me, information is power, and it gave me more information on the effects of that focusing, what it does for you, and how you can be really, it's so useful. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Teach focusing. I think they should teach focusing in school. I really do.
I agree.
I really do. But not only that, Aneta, I think that we're talking about trauma resilience embodied yoga, the importance of it for yoga teachers to be trauma informed. And by golly, it is important, because not all yoga teaching has a section on this. Now, when I did my basic yoga teacher training, my 200 hours, we were made aware of certain aspects of trauma. For example, you can't tell people to close their eyes, because some people don't want to close their eyes. And if you're switched on to your students, you'll see those people that are just unable to close their eyes. So I did have a very small understanding of it, but now I'm completely aware of it. So I actually think not only should all yoga teachers be trauma trained, but I actually think that not quite on the same, but I was thinking about this in preparation for our interview, and I thought, you know, the polyvagal theory should be taught in schools in depth. Because it just helps people. Young children, they would be able to learn their behaviors and understand their behaviors and understand what is happening when they suddenly feel this rush of anger or rage, and they've got to punch somebody in the playground, or, you know, do something, or bullies people. By golly, you know what, some tragic things that we hear and read in the media about the result of bullying on people's lives. So, you know, it would just be great if they would do that.
Yeah, I mean, I really hear that, and I really agree with you. You know, with the focusing, which is the working with felt senses and parts within the body, you know, this kind of felt experience, it is something that we all naturally do, and children do that, but often through trauma, through stress, through social conditioning, through social pressures that are imposed on us, we start shutting it down. So it is a natural thing that we all do. But as you just said, you know, having kind of a container for it and making it all work together, that integration part. And this is something that I've heard not just from you, but from many yoga teachers and therapists who did the training. It's kind of, it consolidates, it integrates the knowledge that you have already with the knowledge from the training. And, you know, because ultimately we work with different client groups. We love supporting certain kind of people, but maybe not others. We are drawn to certain kind of work. And so bringing that knowledge with our understanding of our clients and our students creates a really powerful mix. And yeah, if I had it my way, I would I would say, I know that we are teaching in some schools now mindfulness, but focusing and that embodied listening is a different practice. It's more about building, rather than just with mindfulness observing in a neutral way, we start connecting and building in a relationship with that, you know, through some somatic and compassionate practices. And maybe it will change. You know, I am seeing a lot of change. And, you know, polyvagal theory, when I think about polyvagal theory, something that you said there, you know, I remember teaching 20 years ago about stress, about anxiety, about stress management, and we knew how to work. You know, this is what polyvagal theory shares. It's just going deeper into more understanding. But I think that basic understanding would help everybody. You know, when you think about this and your burnout, knowing the kind of stuff, how the nervous system works, how the body works, might have helped you to prevent that burnout and going so much into the depression. You know, yes, your circumstances were really challenging and difficult, but maybe it wouldn't have gone for such a long time if you knew what was going on for you, and if you had already tools and a way to connect with your inner resources and support around you, those three things that are so vital for us being, you know, experiencing well-being and being healthy and being connected. And yeah,
absolutely, Aneta, because here is the thing, when I was in that situation, I wasn't exercising self-compassion or self-care or self-trust. I wasn't listening to my body. I was just on the treadmill. I had a very good job in a male-dominated environment. And when you're working in that environment, you think you're going to do your job 100 times better than your male peers to prove your place, that you're worthy. Yeah. And I wasn't listening to my body, or I was just driving myself into the ground. I really was. Yeah. And I have since learned massively self-compassion. I really listen to my body. You know, I've said this to you many times, like my little mantra, one of my many, we can only do what we can only do. And I often say this to myself, I may have a long list of what I need to do, But you know what? I can only do what I can only do. Everything else will have to wait, because I have learned from my life experience. The most important thing in my life, actually, even though we love and we give and we're carers, and you know, it's me. Because if I don't look after me, then I can't be that unpaid crisis centre manager, can I? Yeah. You know, because look, our homes, stuff happens, life happens. You know, in these homes through the pandemic, we've had bereavement, we've had illnesses, we've had, you know, road traffic accidents still happen in the pandemic.
And illness,
cancer still happens in the pandemic. Drug addiction still happens in the pandemic. Homelessness, financial issues, and all
domestic violence, all of that is still there, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And as women, we are still in the 21st century. We are still the keystone of the family. Yeah, there are more and more. It is slowly changing, but it's still our role. We the majority of households, it's our role to keep it all together, and to look after things. And by golly, there's been a lot of stuff going on, hasn't there, over the last 2 years?
Yeah, I love what you just said. It's like, and this is something that we do a lot in the trauma training as well. It's like this understanding, the moment that you really understand, not just on the mind level, that I have to look after myself, or I have to listen to my body, or I have to be compassionate to myself. But when it actually drops into, from this understanding on a mental level, into like that felt sense of, I really understand how important that is. I really know deep within every single cell, every single bone in my body, how important those practices of, you know, somatic checking in, or pausing, or doing the stuff that is right, and understanding that some things needs to get done, but other things can wait. You know, how profoundly changing and healing this kind of stuff is. That's when we can really look after ourselves as we serve others. We, you know, we don't get into situations where we just work and support others and we burn out behind the scenes, or we struggle quietly with a lot of shame and, you know, constriction, showing, you know, a smiley face on Instagram, whereas behind the scenes we are crying, or we are not sleeping, or we are struggling, or we, you know, arguing with others, because we are in that survival, or even maybe in a shutdown and freeze state, not being able to cope. Yeah. So
absolutely, it's about being your authentic self, and it sounds a bit cliche. Absolutely is about this authenticity. It is, because a photograph is just, that's just an image taken at that time. It's what it goes on behind the scenes, and which is really the important thing. Sorry, Aneta.
Okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. No, I completely agree with that. So I wanted to ask, you know, if you could say a little bit about your current work, and, you know, where people can find you if they are interested in doing some work with you.
Thank you, Aneta. You wouldn't believe this. My doorbell's just gone. I think it's a delivery of my athletic greens, looking after myself. So just bear with me 1 minute.
Okay, go on.
1 second. Hello. Can you just leave it there, please? Thank you very much.
Oh, isn't that? It's so typical.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's so typical. Whenever I am delivering training, it's like somebody comes to the door and I have to run quickly and come back.
I know. I'm sorry about that. Very sorry about that. But, you know, I'm living it. It's not just that I'm saying it. I thought it's the supply of athletic greens, you know, this green powder to make me young and vital.
Oh, great. It's
yeah, so my work now, I absolutely, it's not work. I can't say it's work really, because I just love what I do, but I suppose I do get some reward for it, some financial reward, so it is work. So I teach online via Zoom, and I teach 2 classes a week. I do a Yin and Nidra class on a Tuesday evening, and I teach a Hatha yoga class on a Thursday morning. And I also do a community class, a live face-to-face community class, which I absolutely love, serving my community. And I also, I've written a course. I haven't delivered it yet, but I am going to be delivering that course. And I also teach one-to-ones, one-to-one yoga. I'm a specialist in pranayama. That is massive to me. As well as teaching Hatha and Yin, and of course TREY. So people can find me on at www.hathayogawithjane.com. That is my website, and on Facebook, Hatha Yoga with Jane or Jane Hathaway. I've got 2 accounts.
Great. And all your classes are obviously trauma informed. You bring all that understanding into them, and
with my classes, it's a bit of we do a little bit of it's we use pranayama, and we use somatic movements, focusing, and they are trauma informed, most definitely.
Lovely. Great. So thank you so much, Jane, for taking time to chat with me today. It's been a real pleasure, and such an inspiring story, so thank you for sharing it. And
thank you, Aneta.
Thank you.
It's always a joy to speak to you, and keep up the wonderful work. And it's very, very, very important work. It really is. And I think that we should all be trauma informed. It is life changing, not only for others, but for ourselves. It really is. It enables us to maintain that lovely balance in our lives ourselves as well.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Jane.
Okay, thank you.